Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo.
Look up on the wall. There on the wall. Under the pillow. Behind the door. There's a crack in the mirror.
Welcome into Wolo and Friends. Dave Wolotion out today. He'll be out the rest of the week getting shoulder surgery, which does not sound fun. Brian Dacus, Zach Boyd in for him for the rest of the week. The plan is for him to be out the rest of this week and back on Monday, but obviously with any type of surgery, recovery time, people can say that it's a certain time, but there's always a little bit of unknown in there. So hopefully Dave is back next Monday. If not, we will hold down the fort until he's able to get back in here. But plenty to talk about today. It was I didn't think it was going to be a busy night last night in the sports world, but it ended up being a somewhat busy night. We had the Grizzlies playing another Summer League game against the Dallas Mavericks. The Home Run Derby was going on ESPN. We also had day one of SEC Media Days yesterday. Day two has already begun. Kirby Smart spoke to the media earlier today about 9 o'clock. Josh Heupel will kick things off at about 10:45. So at the end of this hour, Josh Heupel will talk about his Tennessee team. Later this afternoon, we will get our first new SEC team as Brent Venables will take the stage for Oklahoma at about 12:50, and then Eli Drinkwitz will go at about 2:20 this afternoon. I like how it's set up this year with the 16 teams. Every day we get 4 teams, which is fun. So those are our teams today. Should be a lot of fun. Kirby Smart, obviously, kind of what you expected of Kirby Smart. A whole lot of questions about winning. Whole lot of questions about expectation. Looks like it's going to be another really good season for the Georgia Bulldogs. But something that I've noticed, Zach, and I've noticed it the first, 5 coaches that have spoke during SEC Media Days, and I heard it, and I noticed it, and I didn't say anything about it. And then my friend texted me and said the exact same thing I was thinking. And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. So obviously we're in Dallas for SEC Media Days. Brett's down there right now. You can hear him all day on this station live from SEC Media Days, but he'll be with me later this afternoon with Sportstime live from SEC Media Days. We'll have a whole lot of guests talking about every team that's talked today. Real quick, I want to thank our sponsors that are helping us give you content live from SEC Media Days. First National Bank and Trust, Gould's, Jim's Place in Collierville, your North Mississippi John Deere dealer, Wade Incorporated, the Commissary in Germantown and Collierville, Sissy's Log Cabin, Memphis Sports and Tourism Council, Ronnie Grazzani's, Jimmy McElroy and Associates, Landers Ford, and Jason's Deli. Thank you so much for being with us this week at SEC Media Days. But we're in Dallas for SEC Media Days. And obviously it's the first year for the University of Texas Hook 'em in the conference. And well, horns down from Zach. Okay, it's all right. But this, so you have a lot of Texas reporters there. And all of them ask questions to every single coach that takes the stage. And it's always the same thing. How do you think Texas is going to be this year? What do you think of Steve Sarkisian's team going into the season? There's never a question about the actual team whose coach is up there talking. It is always about Texas. I mean, literally, it'll be like, they'll stand there, hey, coach, I'm so-and-so from, hookem.com. How do you think Sark's boy's going to be this year? Like, yeah, I think they're, and every coach says the same thing. I have great respect for Steve Sarkisian. I think they're, going to be a great team. But I'm kind of tired of it. And we're only through 5 coaches. We've got a whole lot more coaches to go through. Those Texas reporters need to be careful this afternoon with Brent Venables going up there, obviously, with that rivalry. But it's been fun. I'm really excited to hear Josh Heupel this afternoon, or later this hour, I should say, and what he has to say about Tennessee this year. Obviously, I think a lot more expectations, especially with Nico and kind of what we saw from him in his first outing as the starting quarterback in that bowl game. So that'll be exciting. And then Eli Drinkwitz is a very interesting coach because, I think a lot of people forget about it, but I remember very well, Zach, last year at this time, Eli Drinkwitz was, if you went and polled every single media member at SEC Media Days, I think Eli Drinkwitz would have been the favorite for first coach fired in the SEC. I mean, there was a lot of people, and you know how Eli Drinkwitz is. He gets up there and he has the coach speak down, and he says things that you're like, what are you even talking about, dude? And so people kind of clown him, and they would look back at the record, Eli, you haven't won anything. But he did a fantastic job last year with this Missouri team. And now, bringing back a couple big-time playmakers, Luther Burden, the incredible wide receiver that a lot of people think will be a top 10, maybe even higher pick in the draft. Brady Cook, we saw what he did last year. He's back, so it looks like we could see a lot of the same offensively from Missouri this year. So I'm excited to see what he has to say later this afternoon. So it should be a lot of fun today down in Dallas at SEC Media Days. Okay, I've talked about 7 minutes about SEC Media Days.
Good job.
I'm going to try to talk for 3 minutes about what I did last night.
Good luck.
And I don't care what anybody has to say, Zach. I promise you I don't. I went home last night. I fired up my Xbox, and I hopped on the new college football video game.
Ooh.
And Zach, I've been waiting for this. And you see, some people don't understand. I was 13 years old when the last college football game came out, which sounds crazy. I've been waiting for this day for a very long time. And that day came last night, fired it up, played a couple games, ran Memphis, ran with UConn, ran with a couple teams, got into a dynasty. It was great. But here's the thing that I think could be a game changer for this college football game that doesn't even have to do anything with video games, is the actual players being in the game this year. I think people's general knowledge of players in college football might be at an all-time high this year, in part because of how many people are going to play this game and see these names and get used to these people. And they're going to be watching Saturday morning, and, Memphis is going to be playing Florida State. And someone's going to go, well, I haven't really seen Memphis this year, but, I played him in this game, and Seth Hennigan's a great quarterback. He threw for 300 yards on me. And I think if that is a takeaway from this game, I think it's a great thing. If more people can be knowledgeable about college football, I don't care how it comes. Whether it's the magazines. Heck, Zach, I have 3 college football magazines in my bag over there. I mean, I love reading those things.
Well, you're ready to go.
I'm ready to go. So whether it's that or whether it's playing a video game to learn these guys and learn these teams, and I think it's all great. If it helps you when it comes to college football, and watching it on a Saturday and being more knowledgeable about it, I think that's great. But I had a blast last night. Maybe stayed up a little too late playing the game. I was running with Charlotte. Zach, you know how much I love Biff Poggi. Obviously, he's not in the game, but his team is, and so
turn Charlotte into a superpower.
About to beat North Carolina last night, so good win. That's my spiel on college football. It's a fun game. I know. A lot of people I've seen, like national media people were very excited to fire it up last night. I'm kind of worried about people who are trying to play the game and are also at SEC Media Days. Risky business. You can lose track on time when doing it. So it's a lot of fun. I'm sure nobody listening cares about the video game or the fact that I enjoyed it, but that's okay.
Well, that's too bad.
I wanted to get that out.
Well, that's too bad.
It's
part of the culture.
It's part of the culture, Zach. It's coming back. It's incredible. I mean, last night, like 700,000 people at one point were online trying to play just online games. So it's incredible how many people were playing last night.
I hope EA got their servers up and running, man.
And Zach, this is the early release. This isn't even like the game isn't officially out yet.
It's not general population.
Right, yeah. Like there are going to be a whole lot more people on Friday that get the game. So it's definitely cool. We'll probably come back to SEC Media Days maybe in our next segment and talk some more about what we heard yesterday, some of the teams we heard yesterday, some of the teams going today. But I want to get your thoughts. Last night, Grizzlies Summer League. They take on the Dallas Mavericks. No Zach Edey again. That's kind of been the biggest question when it comes to waiting for these games. And because it's Summer League, we're having to wait till like 30 minutes, 15 minutes before the game starts before we really get any news about Zach Edey. I think last night, maybe about 6:15, Drew Hill reported from the Daily Memphian that Zach Edey would not play. But it sounds from his reporting, from Taylor Jenkins over the weekend, that they still want Zach Edey to play at least one more game in Summer League. I haven't talked to you about this, Zach. I've talked to other people about it. Brett and I have discussed it. Where do you stand on this Zach Edey thing? I've heard some people say, I've seen enough. We don't need him going anymore, especially if there's some sort of lingering injury. I've heard other people saying, need to see him again, would love to see him back out there. I think obviously fandom comes out and says, yeah, you have a top draft pick that everyone's excited about, especially when he's a very controversial pick like Zach Edey is. You want to see him out there playing. Where are you? What are your feelings and thoughts on this Zach Edey situation?
If he plays, I'm fine with it. At the end of the day, if he plays, I'm fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if he does not play a single game in Summer League, it is all right, y'all. Like it's not that big of a deal. Like in the end, Bryant, and I feel I feel like this need to be put into context a lot more now than it has been before.
Okay.
Zach Edey is your starting center on opening night. If the Grizzlies feel like he has shown enough in his first Summer League game in Salt Lake City to say, we don't need Zach anymore, he's good to go, I'm fine with it. Obviously, like you said, like with the fandom in me, I want him to come up to play these G Leaguers and destroy them.
Right.
Because he is 7'4",
right.
300 pounds. And I want to see it in live form so I can live tweet it and talk about how massive he is in comparison to his peers. But, I mean, I'm not really worried about it. Like, at the end of the day, they feel like it's nothing to worry about. It's ankle soreness.
Yeah.
And, look, I think at the end of the day, like I feel like he's gonna play. He's gonna play no more than 2 games in my mind. It's just I don't see the whole. Oh man, like Zach Edey's not playing today. We should worry about this. No, we should not worry about this. It's Summer League. Like I'd rather have other guys have the opportunity to play to show, hey, like I deserve a contract too.
Sure.
So I mean. Look, it is what it is with it. I get it, but it is what it is. It's just no need to worry over it.
Right.
No need to stress over it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and Zach, you know kind of how I feel about Zach Edey. I'm going on the approach of I want him to succeed. I think he's a great guy. Everything I've heard is he's just like very friendly and you know he's just super motivated and a grinder when it comes to, you know, getting better and getting in the gym. I love that. I'm just not sold on him yet, and I still need to see more. I understand what he did in Game 1. I understand he did it against Walker Kessler. I'm not sold on Walker Kessler either. And so that did a little for me. I thought it was great. I thought it was fun. But it didn't do a ton for me. And maybe, Zach, I completely understand. And there's people I know in their cars right now going, you're just an idiot in front of a microphone. You don't know anything. They're going to be fine. I completely understand that. I'm an idiot. I'm probably completely wrong on Zach Edey. And I can accept that and I can acknowledge that. If I'm wrong on Zach Edey, I'll talk about it for the end of time. I was wrong. I'll take it. I'll claim it. But I need to see more, and I don't want to see more at risk of injury. So if there is a lingering injury, and that's the reason they're keeping him out, fine, completely fine. I do not want you to risk the health long-term of your potential starting center for meaningless summer league games. I would love to see him again though in summer league. Like I don't think that'd be awful. Like I would like to see him one more game because for me, as a skeptic, I don't want to call myself a doubter. I want to call myself a skeptic. If I could see one more game, don't care who he's playing, and he goes out there and dominates again and has the, 15 points, 20 points, and 12, 15 rebounds, Something similar to what he did against Walker Kessler, but maybe at even a higher level because he's playing G League guys, undrafted guys, whatever. Yeah, like that would probably make me somewhat of a believer, but I still stand to it, and I'm not a guy, and hopefully I don't come across as a guy that likes to move the goalposts, but I got to see it in the regular season. And then even if I see it in the regular season, I got to see it in the playoffs because we've seen so many.
That sounds like moving the goalpost to me, Brian.
I mean, and it probably does sound like that, but here's the thing, Zach. In the NBA, we see so many big men that are fine in the regular season, unplayable in the postseason. And I don't like if you're fine with Zach Edey being a great player in the regular season, getting you to the postseason, being a integral part of you getting to the playoffs, and then becoming invisible in the playoffs. Cool. But I kind of want someone that's going to be able to produce in both, and maybe he can. I just want to see it. Not saying I'm going to be a hater until I see it. But I do want to see him in a regular season game against another, if he's going to be your starting center, which at this point it looks like he's going to be. I want to see him in the regular season against another NBA big. And, yeah, I mean, I would love to see him another game in the summer league. And it sounds like that's the plan. I mean, is that how you kind of read it? Is kind of they want, like, if he can play, he's going to play? I mean, how do you read these reports and kind of quotes from Taylor Jenkins about he's probable to return to Summer League?
If he feels good to play, he's going to play. At the end, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not finna sit here and, like, tell a 7'4", 300-pound man that he needs to suck it up and go play on a sprained ankle.
Sure.
I'm not. No.
Right.
Especially after this entire season, like everybody complained about Jaren's rebounding, and they went and got a center, and then y'all want to go see him play in meaningless summer league games just to see him get hurt again.
Sure. And like I get, I mean, we've seen like, some guys go down with injuries this summer league, and so I definitely don't want to risk those injuries over meaningless summer league games, but. Definitely a lot of excitement about Zach Edey, and I think a lot of people out there wanting to see him play, but it was a good game for the Summer League Grizzlies last night. I had that set up on my iPad. I was watching that while I was firing up the college football game. I had the home run derby on my actual television. But it was a good game for the Grizzlies last night. 108-88, a complete blowout, really from start to finish against the Dallas Mavericks Summer League team. And, this is very much a team in Dallas that is a G League team. Like, there's not... I mean, who's a guy on this roster that you're like, oh, yeah, he's going to be a big-time player for Dallas next year? Like, I don't see that guy. Like, maybe you get something from Omax off the bench, but, like, even then, like, he's a depth piece. Like, he's you know.
AJ Lawson, he has some time
Yeah.
in the NBA.
Yeah, that's another name.
At least with the Mavericks.
Right. So I mean, like, there are a couple guys on here that will be bench pieces for Dallas, but you know they don't really have like a big name on there or like anything crazy. I don't think this was a team that people were like, oh man, their summer league team's going to be awesome, like they were saying about the Grizzlies. And we've now seen after this team, you know, kind of again, like these are meaningless games, but this team struggled during Salt Lake City. And now 2-0 in Vegas with 2 dominant victories. And last night, I mean, talk about some of these performances. 23-11 for G.G. Jackson. Shot 47% from the field, about 38% from 3. Really good game for him. You get 14 points, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds, and 4 steals from Jake LaRavia. A guy that I know a lot of people want to see. He went 2 for 4 from 3, so 50% from 3, 57% from the field, so a big-time game for him. Trey Jemison, 10-5. Cam Spencer, 11, 3-3. Scottie Pippen Jr., 19, 7 assists, 2 rebounds. Jalen Wells gives you 13 points off the bench. A much better shooting night for Jalen Wells. Still kind of struggled from 3, but 5 for 8 from 3 is definitely what you want to see, especially after some of those games early in Salt Lake City where he was really shooting a poor percentage. That looks a lot better. Zach, this Summer League team's fun to watch.
They are a problem on the defensive end.
Yes, no, they are. It's incredible. I mean, Jake LaRavia, 4 steals. Who are you, and what'd you do with Jake LaRavia?
I mean, Scottie Pippen with 5 steals. That's
Crazy.
not including, like, just causing mayhem
Right.
for the opposing guards.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I guess this is the benefit of having a lost season, and you got all the young guys that played a lot in that lost season to come together to play in Summer League.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell the continuity is there.
Mm-hmm.
You tell, like, you just, they plug in Cam Spencer, who's a high IQ guy, and he knows how to move without the basketball and even move the basketball.
Yeah, Cam Spencer's awesome. Like, I gotta be honest, Cam Spencer is awesome.
Awesome. I can't get enough of the kid,
He's
man.
great.
Can't get enough of him. But I mean, you could just tell like the starters move at a different speed than a lot of the other teams, and you know that's the benefit. That's the other side of having that lost season is that you see your young guys come in, and not only they're playing well, but they're putting their foot on the throats of their opponents and making them suffocate on themselves.
Well, they're jumping out early. I mean, I remember that first game against the Kings. A
lot of turnovers in that game.
Holy cow! That game was going on during our show in the afternoon, and my brother Connor, he's been helping us a little bit on the board, and he was up here, and he was like, yeah, I think we take Sacramento plus 6.5. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. He was like, I mean, Sacramento, like they've got a good squad. Like they look good in California, and like the Grizzlies, like they kind of struggled, and like I think this could be another close game. I was like,
are you sure about that?
I was like, okay, why not? Like, I'll throw like $10 on Sacktown plus 6.5.
Nope.
And like literally like first media timeout, Grizzlies are up like 15.
It's like 23-5 or something.
I came in there. I was like, are you okay? Like you thought that was a good bet? And he was like, still early. It's still early. Like, don't worry. And then nothing changed. So yeah, no, this Summer League team's fun. I think it's, I think you're seeing a lot of good things. Like we said from G.G. Jackson, I know that first game in Salt Lake City. I mean, throw Salt Lake City away.
Yeah,
I mean,
playing in altitude.
Literally. Well, first off, you're playing in the altitude, but I also think there are pros and cons to playing in Salt Lake City or California, because like the pros are, there are a whole lot of teams that the first game in Vegas is their first game actually playing as a team. These guys don't play together. Now they've been practicing and stuff like that. But you get those games to kind of figure things out before you go to Vegas, where it's a lot more competitive, a lot more eyeballs. People care about Vegas Summer League. People don't care about Salt Lake City or California Summer League. But the cons is like nobody cares about it. And so like I think you see a lot of teams do different things, throw different lineups, just try different things. And you can see, 19-year-old players that, are feeling really good, go out and just jack up 8 threes, just
The heat is the
do whatever.
checks.
Literally. So like I think you can throw everything in Salt Lake City away. And now what we're seeing in Vegas, I think this is legit what you want to see. And so seeing what we saw from G.G. Jackson last night was really cool. Seeing what we saw from Jake LaRavia was really cool because he's another guy. I got to see something from Jake LaRavia. And it's fun to see it in Summer League. But, Zach, I'll be honest, feel like we see it every year in Summer League from Jake LaRavia. I feel like we have the same conversation every single year. Now, it hasn't been a lot of years. I understand that. He just got drafted a couple years ago. But we do this dance for the last couple of years of, oh, man, Jake LaRavia. Oh, man, he's just knocking down shots. He's playing great ball. He's coming up on the defensive end. He's going to be great. Then we get to the regular season, and he can't do much at the NBA level. And okay, so then you send him down to the G League, and he's great in the G League. And, then you call him back up. Doesn't do much. Now, last year got a lot of run, obviously, because of all the injuries. I feel like we're back here again, where it's a great Summer League for him. He's playing well in Summer League. I got to see it come regular season. And I very much view Jake LaRavia kind of, going to a baseball analogy here. He's a 4A guy. Like when you talk about there's AAA guys, there's Major League guys, there's AA guys, but there are some of those guys in there that are like the tweeners that they're too good when it comes to AAA. They're dominating AAA. Can't figure it out in the majors. And what do you do with them? They're just in kind of a weird spot. And that's what I view Jake LaRavia as right now. And so I love to see what he's doing right now in Summer League. Hope that can translate to the NBA and he can be a bench piece for this Grizzlies team. But we'll find out later. But we need to get to a break. When we come back, might talk some more SEC Media Days. Might talk some more NBA with everything going on in Summer League. We've got to at some point. We might hold it off for the final segment. We got to talk about the Home Run Derby last night and the All-Star Game tonight. So we'll talk more of something. We'll do that next on Wolo and Friends.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
If you want a great experience, you need to go to Genesis.
Meet Kendall Wamo, who shopped several other jewelry stores but ended up at Genesis Diamonds with a bigger, better quality diamond for less.
Based on what I had seen elsewhere, I didn't know that this size diamond would be possible for me to have on my finger.
Are you ring shopping? Genesis Diamonds has one of the nation's largest selections of GIA-certified diamonds at the guaranteed best prices, bar none.
You're going to get the most value for your dollar at Genesis Diamonds. You're going to get the best customer service in town and probably in the entire state.
And that's what Kendall really loved, the personal attention, the relaxed environment, the no-pressure shopping experience.
This jewelry store was like home. It wasn't walking into corporate America. Nothing's a sales pitch here. It's all genuine. They're like a family.
Genesis Diamonds.
There would be no reason that I could ever think of that you would not go to Genesis first. And if you leave Genesis and try to shop around, you will come back to Genesis.
Memphis's direct diamond importer at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
DQ presents Picture This. Picture the DQ freezer, home to all the Blizzard flavors of the past. Picture it opening to bring back the salted caramel truffle blizzard for a limited time. Picture that salted caramel truffle blizzard in your hands. It's all yours. No, really, it's all yours. This treat is too good to share. Everyone will have to get one for themselves. Hurry in to get this flavor before the DQ freezer closes. DQ, happy tastes good.
You watch sports.
talk show on Sports After Dark. For 1 hour, tell us what's really on your mind regarding sports. Your favorite sports team, favorite player, discuss pre-games, post-games, all games. Let's talk. Rotation is required. Interested applicants must contact the podcast center at gmail.com or call 901-468-3097. That's the podcast center at gmail.com or 901-468-3097. Amateur and professional talk show hosts encouraged to apply.
Required orientation is Saturday, July 20th, or you can take it online at your leisure at the podcast center, Memphis.com.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
Welcome back into Wolo and Friends. Bryant Dacus and Zach Boyd filling in for Dave Woloshin as he's out with shoulder surgery today, but he'll be back next week. That's the plan right now. I mentioned it. We're going to talk some more SEC Media Days during this segment, and joining us from the desk live in Dallas, Brett Norsworthy. He's going to join us to talk everything going on at SEC Media Days. Another reminder that he's down there thanks to a lot of great sponsors. First National Bank and Trust, Gould's, Jim's Place in Collierville, your North Mississippi John Deere dealer, Wade Incorporated, the Commissary in Germantown and Collierville, Sissy's Log Cabin, Ronnie Grazzani's, Jimmy McElroy and Associates, Landers Ford, Jason's Deli, and Memphis Sports and Tourism Council. Brett, how's it going this morning down in Dallas? Thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, sir, Bryant. Good to talk to you and Zach. And another busy day. And, the Tennessee Vols roll through today, and a lot of hope and a lot of expectation for them. And they're still very much enjoying the magic carpet ride that Tony Vitello took that baseball team on. And, in all of sports, once you start getting one, you want another one. They get a long-awaited national championship, really long-awaited for men's sports national championship. So they got their eye on another, be it football this year with Josh Heupel, at least in the playoffs, or come basketball season, men's basketball season, Rick Barnes, and get the lady Vols back righted. So a lot of anticipation for Tennessee. And with Tennessee here today, along with Georgia, Mizzou, and Oklahoma, you got Oklahoma coming in new this year. And Mizzou knows the feeling. They were once the newbie, and they came in at one time. This is two old Big 8 teams.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible, and you mentioned Missouri, and I was just talking to Zach, and I know we've talked about it, throughout the last week and this week even. But Eli Drinkwitz comes in, and last year a lot of criticism for him going into the season. I was telling Zach, I think if you went around last year at SEC Media Days in Nashville and polled the media members, I think he would have gotten a lot of votes for first coach out in the SEC. But a great season last year. He comes in bringing back Luther Burden and Brady Cook, those big-time playmakers from last year. What are the expectations for Missouri this year?
Well, you just got to wonder if they can run it like they did last year. Just had one of the surprise find of the portal, universe, transfer world last year. He's gone, but they've got Brady Cook back at quarterback, and they have Luther Burden back at wide receiver. And in a league that's loaded with both, Mizzou could make a strong case of we got the best at quarterback, wide receiver, and maybe the best combo. And that's a strong argument they could make, and you got to make a strong argument to make that case in this league, because now with a lot of teams, I understand 16 teams, but there are a lot of great quarterback, wide receiver combos. Ole Miss has got a really good one, and Georgia's got players, and Tennessee feels like they have that as well of teams represented today. But we know Mizzou's got it.
Yeah, absolutely. When we've talked so much about quarterbacks in this conference, I think that's kind of a talking point for a lot of people. So much good quarterbacks. You just mentioned a couple of them, Carson Beck and Brady Cook. But we're going to see we're going to hear from two teams today with younger quarterbacks. And for Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold coming into the SEC as a sophomore. What do you expect from him in his first year of SEC play?
I think he will be a very productive player, unbelievably with Brent Venables. The question remains, even from the Lincoln Riley days of OU on the defensive side.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe with Brent Venables and, going into his third year, but it's time to start, kind of establishing yourself, him as the defensive coach we know that he is, and all those great stops, notably Clemson, but even, Kansas State and the good player that he was, Oklahoma defenses that he ran for a long time as well. So you keep waiting for him to come on that side of the ball. Oklahoma has never, over its whole history, it's never had a trouble scoring points. They got to stop somebody.
That's right.
And right now, Brian, it's consistent with me. The rules really aren't made for you to stop anybody anymore.
Yeah.
These TV places paying all these big rights fees, they don't want 10-7 football.
Not at all.
There we go. Brett, ever since Saban retired, it seems like the shift in power went straight to Georgia, and albeit the correct decision. But from listening to not only you but also some other insiders and some other reporters, it seems like it's a free for all. It seems like this year is going to be like a free for all in the SEC. Do you believe that?
I think it starts with Georgia, Zach. I do. Now, last year it was Georgia all year until the most critical weekend of the year for them, the SEC championship game. What the bad timing award of the year for Georgia to not. They didn't play bad that day, but they didn't play very good. And I think the old master kind of had the hex on Kirby. Every time he looked across that sideline, he saw him. Kirby Smart may be the leader of thank goodness that guy's gone. And now Kalen DeBoer coming in. But I think it starts with Georgia. But Zach, it does have 2 through 7 or 8. It feels wide open. I know a lot of times it does feel like that, and then as the season wears on, we go, why in July were we thinking this was wide open? But after Georgia, in my opinion, I think it gets more wide open. But I would have to go with Georgia at the top.
Going back to Oklahoma, because you mentioned it, defense is the question, which is, interesting because, Brent Venables, when he took the job at Oklahoma, that was kind of the big story. He's going to get the defense right. And that hasn't been the case. And I think that's part, a lot of people talk about 10-win season last year for Oklahoma, but it doesn't feel like we're talking about a 10-win team whenever anybody talks about Oklahoma. I think part of that is because it doesn't feel like Brent Venables has really gotten the defense there to what people expect. But he brings 2 defensive players with him to media days. How hard is it going to be for him as he's still trying to, place his identity of his defense? And then you go into the SEC, and we know how good this conference is offensively.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. And again, back to those rules, they're not making it where defensive guys can really shine anymore.
Yeah.
And a lot of places, I think, shy away from hiring defensive first guys because it doesn't do a lot for the press conference. And then you want somebody that's tearing the scoreboard up week in, week out. But they are bringing 2 defensive players here today. Danny Stutzman, linebacker that could play for anybody, and Billy Bowman, a defensive back that could play for just about anybody. But, Bryant, with Oklahoma, you're talking about a 10-win season, and the college football playoff is sure going to guide people into this thinking. Now, Oklahoma, historically, just a fabulous program. But when 10 wins aren't enough for you and for your fans and for your boosters, isn't that saying a lot?
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be minimum bid to get in the playoff, into the playoffs. If you're not double-digit, unless you backdoor one of those conference championships of the Big Four, SEC, Big Ten, ACC, or Big 12, and I'm really thinking Big 12 here when I say this, I don't see anybody else not with double-digit wins being in the playoffs, and maybe even with 11 wins. That is a high bar, and that means a lot of people are going to be disappointed because, Bryant, one of my mantras every year at NCAA basketball tournament, there's going to be 68 teams in that tournament.
Yep.
Well, in college football, there's only going to be 12.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And I think you're right. I think how we view coaches is, especially in these power conferences, is going to be dictated on what if they get to the college football playoffs.
And they're going to start being defined by college football playoffs like that high bar and really tough grade that we give to college basketball coaches of tell me what you did in March. I'm next door neighbors this week with the Texags crew, and we saw Buzz Williams with the Texas Aggies in basketball at FedEx Forum in that wild overtime affair game, the big comeback with Houston. And Buzz Williams has won one NCAA tournament game in his tenure there. And that's not enough. They say he runs really hot and very prickly to deal with over it. We don't make the rules, Buzz. You got to win in March. And now we don't make the rules in college football either. You got to get to December, and you got to advance in that NCAA football tournament bracket.
No, you're absolutely right. Brett, last thing for you. Tomorrow, we've got a lot of new on the table. You mentioned it, Kalen DeBoer for Alabama. We'll see him, obviously a new coach to the SEC. Jeff Lebby, a new head coach to the SEC. Steve Sarkisian.
You know I love Lebby.
Oh, I know you love Lebby. I know you're excited for that tomorrow. Steve Sarkisian comes in with his Texas team. Obviously a guy that's been around the SEC, but a first time in as a head coach in the SEC. And then you've got Billy Napier, who a lot of people have question marks about what this year will be for Florida. Toughest schedule in college football. Seat a little bit warm for Billy Napier. What do you expect for tomorrow with all the new and then kind of a really coach with maybe a hot seat in Billy Napier?
Yeah, there's no doubt it's hot, and if it's hot early, it's going to be scalding come November with that schedule that Billy Napier has to play. And he was, coaching phenom on the way up. What he did at Louisiana and waited for the right job, landed at Florida, and now having trouble, has played himself into trouble. He is on the hot seat. Steve Sarkisian, his team's loaded. I don't know how they're not in the mix at the end when it matters. They should be around, and we know Kalen DeBoer with the biggest shoes in the history of college athletics, maybe American sport. I mean, you would have to go to Lombardi's replacement. Jimmy Johnson was tough to replace. Now Bill Belichick with the Patriots. A couple of Yankee managers, a couple of Laker coaches, but right up there replacing Nick Saban's at the top of tough tasks to do. But Mississippi State will be here tomorrow, and I do love Jeff Lebby. We got to be pretty good buds with him when he was at Ole Miss and did a great job. His development and his play calling of Matt Corral was right there hand in glove with Lane Kiffin and the development of Matt in those fun years that really kickstarted the Lane years. And I'm glad for him. And Lane and the late, great Mike Leach really turned the pressure valve down on the Egg Bowl. Bryant, I always say I like my Egg Bowl just like it is. And sometimes for good or bad, it gets way off the rails, and it has, unfortunately. But both sides guilty of it. I don't do the whataboutism. And in two cases with DK Metcalf and Elijah Moore, Ole Miss particularly to blame for that. But they've turned the pressure down, and I think it probably was good for it. It may have needed it because it's not good when you really feel like maybe the 82nd Airborne needs to be at your game.
Brad, I know this is only day 2 of SEC Media Days, but so far, who has become your dark horse? So far heading into the season, who do you think will shock us more when the ball is finally kicked off?
Shot for double-digit win seasons, or maybe somebody going that we're thinking now from 4 to 7? Because I got 2.
Ooh,
okay.
Everybody discounting Mississippi State and Arkansas. One of those two, I think will emerge to a 6-7 type win season. That would put them in prime position to be in the Liberty Bowl. The team that maybe most are thinking 8-9. that could get to double digits that are here today, the Tennessee Vols. And you know I'm not playing to the home crowd, Brian.
No, you're not. Not at all. That's a really good answer. Brett, before we let you go, remind us of the sponsors that helped you get to SEC Media Days today. And we'll also hear more from you here in a little bit with Johnny Radio, right?
You got it. I'll be with John at noon, and then we'll fire away from 3 to 6. And our sponsors are First National Bank and Trust, Gould's, Jim's Place in Collierville, your North Mississippi John Deere dealer, Wade Incorporated, the Commissary in Germantown and Collierville, Memphis Sports and Tourism Council, Ronnie Grisani's, Jimmy McElroy and Associates, Jason's Deli, and the official transportation of SEC Media Days, our great friends at Landers Ford. And as always, Sissy's Log Cabin, the Mid-South's largest family-owned and operated jewelry store, offering a large selection of quality diamonds since 1970. Sissy's Log Cabin across the Mid-South, locations in Arkansas and Tennessee, Pine Bluff, Little Rock, Jonesboro, Conway, Memphis, over 60 staff across the footprint of Sissy's Log Cabin. They employ multiple graduate of gemologists and award-winning jewelers, expertly trained to repair, design, or create almost any piece of jewelry. The Sissy's promise ensures that every time you walk in to a Sissy's Log Cabin, you can expect 4 things: exceptional service, expansive selection, extraordinary experience, and quality pieces. Visit sissyslogcabin.com to learn more.
Thanks, Brett. We'll talk to you more later.
You bet, buddy. Thanks.
Thanks, Brett. Brett Norsworthy joining us live from Dallas at SEC Media Days as a busy first 2 days for sure. And we'll hear from 3 more coaches later in the day. I believe somebody's about to talk. Josh Heupel getting ready to, probably already speaking to reporters. He was supposed to go at 10:45. But we need to get to a break. And SEC Media Day is not the only thing going on in Dallas this week. Also, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. We had the Home Run Derby last night. We've got the actual game tonight. So when we come back, we'll wrap up today's show and talk about the Home Run Derby last night and the All-Star Game. We'll do that next on Wolo and Friends.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com. Everyone loves home improvement. South Haven Supply and Warehouse 51 makes it easy. A real hardware store run by 3 generations of a real hardware family where you can get it all. Whether it's repairs, remodeling, or new building, kitchens, bathrooms, tiles, tubs, vanities, sinks, mirrors, lighting, furniture, even door hardware. All the latest designs as well as timeless classics. And if outdoor fun is on your mind, they have the Big Green Egg and Accessories. South Haven Supply and Warehouse 51. 8560 Highway 51. Easy home improvement.
College football season is approaching quickly, and that means it's time for SEC Media Days. Brett Norsworthy is broadcasting live from Dallas, Texas, Monday through Thursday, previewing the upcoming season and bringing you interviews with players, coaches, and SEC insiders. So tune into Sportstime with Brian and Brett, as well as throughout the rest of the day for SEC Media Days coverage on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. SEC Media Days is brought to you by First National Bank and Trust, Gould's, Jim's Place in Collierville, your North Mississippi John Deere dealer, Wade Incorporated, the Commissary in Germantown and Collierville, Sissy's Log Cabin, Memphis Sports and Tourism Council, Ronnie Grisani's, Jimmy McElroy and Associates, Landers Ford, and Jason's Deli. The SEC Media Days on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo.
So I mentioned SEC Media Days. Oh, by the way, Brian and Zach with you. No Dave today. Mentioned SEC Media Days. Not the only thing going on in Dallas this week. Major League Baseball All-Star Game and festivities going on in Arlington. Not necessarily Dallas.
The suburb of Dallas.
I mean, I think Brett said from where they're at the Omni, it's like 18 miles from there to Arlington, which especially in Dallas traffic, whoo boy.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, like drive. I've never actually, and I think I'm gonna do it later this year because one of my best friends lives in Dallas, and I think I'm gonna go to SMU and Florida State. I've circled that game. I might go down to it. I've never actually like personally been the driver driving down to Dallas, but I've been to Dallas countless times. I've been down there so many times. A really good family friend that I view as like a sister or a cousin went to SMU, so we went down there all the time to visit her. Dallas is like, it's such an easy drive until you get to Dallas. And then it's like the worst experience of your life. There's so many cars. The freeways are crazy. So like Brett was like, yeah, it's 18 miles, but it would take way longer than what 18 miles would usually take to get from the Omni to even Arlington. And that's not even talking about like the traffic to try to find a parking spot or whatever at the game. But we had the home run derby last night. It went prospects game on Saturday, Major League Baseball draft on Sunday, home run derby last night, and then tonight we'll have the All-Star game.
Yeah.
How much of the home run derby did you watch last night?
None of them.
Okay.
Because all my attention went to the Grizzlies.
Fair. I had the Grizzlies on my iPad, which got more of my attention. I had the home run derby on the television, and I would glance over occasionally. I really was locked in during the final matchup. And I don't know. I'm curious. Like I'm sure Johnny Radio probably watched the whole thing. I'm curious to hear what he thought of the new format. So you started off with eight guys. The first round was just like everybody was batting. You took the top four, bracketed it, so it was basically a semifinals. Those guys did the matchup, like, because we've seen for the last however many years, 4 or 5 years, where it's just been full matchups, and I kind of like that. Like, it was cool, I guess. But this time it was just the semifinals. Those went through, and then and I don't know if they set it up this way or not, but I noticed once we got to the semifinals, it was 2 National League batters versus 2 American League batters, and so no matter what happened, the final was going to be an AL batter versus an NL batter in the home run derby. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know if that was planned. Like once they were like, hey, we got 4 guys, 2 are from this, 2 are from that. Let's bracket them against it. Or if it was just happened to be that way. So it ended up being Teoscar Hernandez and Bobby Witt Jr., your guy, who you picked to win the home run derby. They were in the finals. I stopped everything I was doing. I think at that point, the Grizzlies game was over. So I wasn't watching the Grizzlies anymore. I put all my attention on that home run derby final, and it was awesome.
Yes.
The way they did it, I thought was so cool. I didn't really understand the extra outs that they got. Because they've gone back, because used to it was just time. Got as many balls as time you got.
So,
now they've gone back to total pitches, right?
Something like that. I know, kind of seeing how it played out. You got to hit over 400. You got to hit over 400-yard home run.
Okay,
to secure an extra out.
Okay,
for the extra round.
Okay,
extra round portion.
Used to it was if you hit over 400, you got
like 10 seconds,
an extra
like
30 seconds or something like that. Okay, so that makes more sense because I know like Bobby Witt. So Teoscar went first, and first off, Teoscar Hernandez, Zach, as you know, my favorite team is the St. Louis Cardinals. Love the Cardinals; those are my boys. But my AL team is the Seattle Mariners. Love the Seattle Mariners. Not as much as the Cardinals, but I do love watching Seattle Mariners baseball. Teoscar Hernandez was with the Mariners last year.
He was.
And didn't do anything for them last year.
I know.
Was awful. And now he's with the Dodgers, and he's great. I mean, he's having such a good season. He goes to the home run derby, and he puts up 14 home runs in his time in the finals. So Bobby Witt comes up. He launches 11 in his regular time. And so I was confused. My TV, this TV, don't even get me started about it. I can't turn the volume up with the remote. So like I have to listen to it what it is, and I don't keep it very loud because it's the TV in my bedroom. Long story. I just don't want it very loud when I'm trying to go to sleep.
Sounds like you need a new TV.
Sounds like it. So I can't really hear like what they're saying. So I'm very confused about like the extra outs and stuff like that. But it shows he has 3 additional outs.
Right.
So I was like, okay, cool. So the first 2 he hits are both outs.
No, the first one it was out.
The first 2 were outs. Listen, I'm telling you, Zach, the first 2 were outs.
No,
Listen, you can correct me if I'm wrong at the end, but I think I'm right. The first 2 were outs, and then he hit 2 home runs, and then got a third out, and somehow they had given him an extra out. I don't know what happened. He must have hit another one 400. He got a 4th out, Zach. I promise you. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but that's how it looked on my screen.
I'm trying to find it for a second. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. But at least what I saw, and again, I could be completely wrong. I'm pretty sure he somehow got a 4th out because I am 99.9% sure he hit the first 2 were outs because I was like, oh, he's got to hit 3 home runs with 1 more out, and that's ridiculous. So he hit 2 out. No, he hit 1 after that, and then got an out. I was like, okay, good try. And then I guess he must have hit that one like 400 feet or whatever.
Yeah, 425 to get the extra out.
So he got an extra out, and then he hits another one out. So now he's down 1, and I was like, oh, man, this is crazy. And so he hits a towering shot. And I was like, holy cow, is that going to go out? Because it was so high. But I could tell distance was going to be an issue. And it literally dropped like a foot short of going out. They had like an official out there in the perfect spot because he's right there beside. He just goes, no. And I was like, oh, it was insane.
But
it was so much fun.
With 2, he already had 2 outs.
Yeah.
And when he crushed that next pitch to get the extra out.
Oh, man.
You could see the weight lifted from his face.
Oh, it was insane.
And you can almost feel, I promise you, when I went back and watched it, you felt the momentum shift.
It was crazy.
And it was like, this dude is about to win this.
Oh,
because there's no way in the world you should be down to your final out and you don't have an additional out and you got to hit a 425 home run to get that.
Oh, it was insane. It was crazy. It was awesome. And again, that was really the only one I paid attention to was the final round. But it was awesome. It was so much fun. Now tonight we'll get the All-Star game. Paul Skeens will start for the NL, so that will be interesting. A rookie starting. Should be a lot of fun to see what he can do against that lineup that is going to be unreal for the AL, especially at the top. Should be a lot of fun. I always love watching the All-Star game. I'll definitely be keeping close attention to that tonight on Fox. So it should be a good night. But again, a lot going on with SEC Media Days later today. We've got Josh Heupel speaking right now. Brent Venables will speak at about 12:50. Eli Drinkwitz at 2:20. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy the rest of your day, but stick around because Johnny Radio, he's right around the corner.